Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Canadian GT. Today, we were let into a good friend of mine's garage to talk about his beautiful 1993 Toyota Supra that started life out as a naturally aspirated JDM car. Come watch today's episode to find out where this car is today and the journey it took to reach the level it has achieved. After trying to schedule this for 2.5 months, we're finally here in Richard's garage with his mistress behind us on his very own casting couch. I'm here today to just go through Richard's car and his journey with this car, what it started out as, where it's going, where it's headed, the progress you've reached so far. I guess I'm just going to start off by saying, what's the history on this thing?
I'm the third owner since it's been imported into Canada. It originally was a MK5 Speed.
Yep.
Bought it just over 3 years ago. Drove it once. That's when I bought it. Drove it home, and
I remember you texting me.
Yeah.
He texted me as soon as he bought the car, sent me a picture.
Yeah, it was a really good deal. Paid $4,600 for the car. Drove it home, and 4 days later, it was gutted.
Yeah, I know. I remember seeing it on Facebook, and I just couldn't believe that you literally bought essentially your dream car. I remember you telling me, a Supra was your dream car, and seeing it go from a nice black car that you could enjoy every day to essentially almost being this in a matter of days. It was just like, wow. I didn't expect it myself, but I mean, all the power to you. And in my opinion, it didn't go down. It couldn't have went down better because this car is going to be amazing when it's done.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. A big part of me wanted to enjoy the car, but I know it wasn't what I wanted.
The NA5 Speed portion.
NA5 Speed, yeah.
Right.
Luckily the Supra is between the turbo model and the NA model. There's no difference in the body shape. They're all the same. Yeah. And I just knew what I wanted. I
your end goal.
Exactly. I wasn't willing to drop 30,000-40,000 on a...
Understandably. At the time, they're even more now.
On a twin turbo factory car, right? So I mean, I picked this up, like I said, for $4,600, and...
And what are these going for now? Like, if you wanted this exact car, they're going for what, anywhere from 20,000 US?
I've seen them 25,000 US.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Right-hand drive, 93, 25,000 US.
Right.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. So you picked this up for $4,600.
$4,600. Guy had it listed originally for $6,000. A week later, it was $5,000.
Yep.
And a friend of mine actually is the one that sent me the link to the Kijiji ad.
Right. It wasn't me?
No, I think you had sent me one before.
Yeah.
But
I knew you were looking, and I remember sending you a lot.
I was always looking, but I was just, like I said, I just wasn't in a position to drop $20,000+ on a car, then to turn around and make it what I wanted it to be.
Right.
Like, it just way too much.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. If someone did what you did, obviously you can't really find a Supra for that much anymore.
No.
But if someone were to do exactly what you did, what's the ballpark number figure? We'll get into that later. All right. So that leads me into the next question. Why a Supra?
I've always liked them.
Yep.
I was born and raised in the country as right-hand drive. So I grew up with the 280s, Datsun 120Ys, Toyota Starlets.
So all the JDM heritage stuff.
Yep, Nissan March, turbos.
Right. I haven't even seen one of those.
I grew up with those cars, Ford Escorts. I grew up with my dad and his friends building Ford Escorts, Datsuns, and having fun with them. So I've always loved cars, and for me, what sealed it for me, I know this is going to be a little bit cheesy, but Fast and the Furious.
Did it?
Fast and the Furious sealed it. Like I said, I've always loved the car.
Right.
I've always loved the car, but Fast and the Furious for me, I just saw it and was like,
Beats a Ferrari.
It not necessarily that it beats a Ferrari. It's just like, wow, that's what it could be. You know what I mean?
It was definitely the hero car of the first movie, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I even think that the orange Supra took precedence over the Skyline for some reason. I don't know why I feel that way, but I just feel like it was more of the Fast and the Furious brand car. You know what I mean? That's just
automatically what you think of when you hear the name of the movie.
Right.
You hear Fast and Furious, you think Toyota Supra.
Yeah.
You hear Paul Walker, you think Skylines.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird.
Which is another favorite of mine.
Yeah. The
Skyline.
Skyline.
Who doesn't like an R34 Skyline, right?
So the R34 is your favorite of the Skylines?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, what they go for, I'll probably never own a R34 GTR, but I mean, a GTT is...
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that all the
attainable.
cars that we love, they were, you know, attainable to the normal working person, 5 years ago, and now they're just like, what?
Not happening.
Right?
Yeah.
Like even RX-7 FDs.
Yeah.
They're like
they've blown up.
$15,000 to $25,000 for a good one.
Up. In the last year, there's so many people that are building them, right?
Yeah. It's sad because I had so many I planned to have a garage full of RX-7, Skyline, Supra. You know what I mean? Like
that's ideally that's what I would love.
Right.
Is to have all the JDM.
Yeah. And now that's $150,000.
Yeah.
Not really yet, but it's getting to that point, right?
I could always sell my house, I guess, and have those cars.
Right. I don't know how your wife would think about that though.
I'd be single.
Yeah.
But I'd have a lot of JDM cars.
Yeah, that's a thought. I mean, we'll have to weigh the pros and cons about that later. I guess I'm curious what you think of the price or the cost rise in Supras. You know, like they used to be 30 to 40,000 US would get you a clean twin turbo 6-speed, usually unmolested. Now they're anywhere from 75 US to 120 or 150 I've seen US.
That one just sold for 121.
Then you're right. And then I seen another one sell for 149, which was a 98 RSP blue car, 6-speed, beautiful car, but 150 grand. But my question is to you is, do you think that the cost of Supras just going like this is solely based on the Fast and the Furious franchise? And I asked this because I just watched a video on YouTube with Rob Ferretti.
Yeah.
And I share the same views as him, whereas I don't think it was solely on Fast and the Furious. I think the Supra always had a presence. I think that around the time of Fast and Furious, when it came out, they were building the car, and that's when they knew that this car was something special.
Yeah.
This car was making outrageous power with really no huge modifications done to the engine or the transmission. Everything was taking 800 to 1,000 horsepower, relatively good in comparison to all the cars on the market. And people were just starting to figure that out about the car. Yeah. And then the Fast and Furious came out, and they kind of portrayed that. So I think that it's just a compliment of it's not the reason, but it's a compliment. Because a lot of people out there, they're like, oh, Supras are 100 grand now because in Fast and Furious. Well, no, that's not true, because you can still buy a Mitsubishi Eclipse GS for $2,000. Yeah. That was also a hero car. Yeah. Not to the extent of the Supra, but it was still a hero car. Yeah. RX-7s never took the jump like the Supra, right?
Don drove an RX-7.
Right. Yeah. Skylines didn't up until a certain point. Like Supra started first, and then Skylines, I think, trickled in, like the R34s. R34s were $50K. I remember 5 years ago, and now they're 80 to 100, right? Yeah. And Supras started that jump. I remember reading an article on Supras that it broke Kelly Blue Book's like record or something like that. Maybe it was a different Edmunds. I can't remember the exact article, but it was saying that it broke the record of appreciation of a car, and it appreciated like 8% in 3 months. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I remember reading that article too.
Yeah, What are your thoughts on the uprise of the price of Supras?
I definitely believe the car always had a following. Yes. I mean, back in the day before Fast and the Furious, these cars were out there. Guys were building them. Guys were seeing what they can do, how far they can push it. But I do believe that Fast and the Furious with the younger generation is definitely what pushed the demand to where it is. I would with a lot of the younger people. Right. Because I mean, most people that are talking about Supras, getting into the Supra game, aren't old enough to really recognize when the car first came out. Mm-hmm. Whereas me and you, you know, at 10 years old, we knew this car. Right. A lot of people who are
thanks to Gran Turismo.
Yeah. A lot of people who are after them are way younger than us. Right. 10 years, 12 years younger than us. I just watched another YouTube video there with there's two 17-year-old guys, and they just got two new Supras. Wow. Well, and they're only 17. Well, this car's 23, going 24 years old. They weren't born when this came out, you know what I mean? So Fast and Furious definitely made a huge difference on the demand where it is right now. Mm-hmm. And as to your comment earlier as to, okay, well, RX-7s was in Fast and Furious. That never took off. The Eclipse, the Skyline.
I wouldn't say that it didn't take off. It just didn't take off to
Like
the
the Supra
magnitude
did.
of the Supra.
The Skyline did, though. Not after the first one.
Right.
But you got to realize, after the first one, I think it was the third one, then Paul Walker was back there. What was his favorite car? What was the car that he always drove? GTRs.
Yeah.
Then the GTR prices started going
Yeah.
up because that was the main focus for the majority of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Right.
Paul Walker's go-to car was the Skyline.
Right. I remember when we were starting to be able to afford these cars.
Yeah.
You could pick up an R32 GTR for like $8,500 landed.
Yes. Now they're 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, eh?
It's for us. It's sad because we have a short time frame to buy these cars before the price skyrockets.
Right.
Because our import laws are 15 years.
Opposed to the US is 25.
25.
Yeah.
These cars always, boom, as soon as they're legal in the US.
Yeah, they jump.
When they're legal here, the price goes up a little bit, but nothing compared to what they go up to in the US.
Right.
Example, this.
Yeah.
Right-hand drive just became legal in the US last year. Mm-hmm. Now in NA, in the condition I bought this in, goes for 25,000 US.
Yeah. And kilometers don't seem to be a factor. People
doesn't-
don't care
yeah.
about the kilometers on a Supra.
Yeah.
You know, I see Supras sell with 250,000 miles for $50,000 TT6 speed, and people pay it. They don't care.
I love the Supra. I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? I'm not a purist. So it's like there's a lot of people that oh, you got a Supra, nice, twin turbo 6-speed.
Yeah.
I was like, no, actually, it was NA 5-speed.
Yeah,
And
you don't
just-
care.
You see the look on their face, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And,
it's weird.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yes, it was an NA 5-speed, but if you go through this car, you will realize, holy shit, this is.
You would have ended up at the same point if it was a TT 6-speed car.
Yes, actually, I would have ended up way more money in because the price to get the
Right.
TT originally
Yes. Yeah.
to then make it my own, I would have probably been double what I'm into the car for right now.
Yeah.
But if you go through this car, it's a TT.
Oh, yeah.
The GT
yeah,
motor, the diff,
Right.
Suspension has all been. It's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about actually. Just reminded me about something. Your transmission.
Yeah.
You lied to me. It's not a TT 6-speed. It's a TT 6-speed with a Nissan transmission.
It's still 6-speed.
Why?
But it is.
Why CD009?
At the time when I got the car,
What were the options at the time?
either buy a Get Right or
V160,
go
R154.
R154 CD009.
There was no Joel Grannis?
Not yet.
Okay.
It did not blow up at that point. It wasn't a common thing. It was mentioned, but it wasn't common compared to how it's become in the last 2 years.
Right.
Remember, I said I got this car and I started to build almost 3.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. In the last 2 years, the only option to go now is a T56.
Was your transmission decision later in the car, though?
Nope, it was one of the first things I got.
And purchased?
Yeah.
Okay.
Within the first year of me, actually within the first 6 months
Gotcha.
of having this car, I already had purchased the GTE motor,
I remember that, yeah.
the transmission, and the Collins adapter twin clutch kit.
Right.
Yeah, within the first 8 months
Okay.
of owning the car.
And this has been a journey for roughly 3.5 years, right?
Going 3.5 years, yeah.
Right. So this summer is D-Day.
Fingers crossed.
Plan.
The biggest thing left now is paint.
What color?
Going back, just the factory black.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
That'll be nice. You're not adding anything in it?
No. I thought about doing a little bit of flake, just for the metallic look.
Like you can use some of my flake. I got a bunch in mine.
Yeah, my problem with that is there's a lot more involved for if at one of the meets or something happens, it gets a deep scratch.
I know.
There's a lot more to then fix that versus it just being a straight black. It's a lot easier to just it being straight black, drive it in my body,
Right.
guy, hey, can you repaint this panel?
Yeah.
Way less work.
That was my plan too, originally with my car, but as you know, it didn't turn out like that in the end.
Yes.
So in a couple years, that's what I'll be doing again, is painting my car original Baltic blue like it was supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I just wanted to talk about the CD009 again. The reason, I thought you made the decision later for some reason, but I remember I don't know where the timelines match up, but when I was deciding on the transmission on my car, R154 wasn't even in the books.
Yeah.
I just came across an R154 for $200 that was built with an OS Geiken clutch.
Can't pass that up.
So how do I say no, right? That saved me $7,000 in the end.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was going to go the Joel Granis kit. Yeah. The reason I wasn't going to go with the CD009 is because I didn't know enough Supras that had it.
Yep.
As time goes on, more and more are, coming or surfacing rather, right? So at the time I was like, yeah, people say it works. You can't really find an example at the time when I was looking at it. Yeah. So I am super happy that you got it and that it works. Now that I know it works, if something goes wrong with the R154, maybe that's an option now, right? Yeah. So
there definitely isn't a lot of Supras out there that went the CD009 route.
Right.
But there's a lot of 2JZ cars
that have it.
That have the CD009 that are 1,000+ horsepower.
I hear that.
There's lots of drift cars running the CD009 with 2Js. I mean, 350s. RX-7s. There's a lot of guys with the Lexus, the
SCs, right?
Yeah, 2JZ, CD009. Yeah. I mean, there's guys, like I'm on a few of the SC pages and stuff like that, and there's videos of guys running 9-second passes.
Quarters on a
with
factory.
2JZ stock CD009.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's, for me, what confirmed it. Because I just didn't look to the Supra community on what their thoughts was on the CD009. I looked to see who's running a 2JZ with a CD009
it's weird,
behind it, right? Yeah. So that's why I made my decision when I did.
Right. At the time, I just think it was too new, and no one really knew the longevity of it at the time, right? Yeah. And there's so many variations because, from what I understand, the synchros in the first generation CD009s are weak. Yeah. And when I was kind of just doing my investigation, people were saying that there's really no decipher between which one's which. And I think that has been, like you can decipher between the two.
There is actually stamping on the transmission.
Right, that's
CD001 or CD0...
-2 or something.
That's what you look for, right? If I remember correctly, it's anything from 2005 up is what you want.
That sounds right.
Before that is weak.
Stay away from.
Stay away, yeah, exactly. So I went and I did my research, and I called around a few wreckers, and I made sure, like, I had the record where I got this transmission from in Calgary, $1,000.
Yeah, it's probably the same guy I called.
And I actually got that guy, when they pulled it, to take a picture of the stamping
to make sure
before I give my credit card number.
Right.
And it had the right stamping, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen enough of personally. Like I got a buddy, Triple S Motorsports. They have 2JZs with CD009.
Do they? Oh, I didn't know that. And that's a local shop.
Yep, it is local. And I've seen the car, the transmission in stock form handle 700 horsepower to the wheels.
Intriguing.
No problem.
Wow.
Right. So.
And it's probably a nicer shifting transmission compared to the R154.
I've never driven a car with an R154, so I don't know. I have driven a vehicle with CD009.
And they shift nice, don't they?
Infinity,
right.
G35.
You had one, right?
Yeah, and my buddy has a 350 CD009, and I like it. There is a little bit of a difference because to fit it in the Supra, you have to go with an aftermarket shifter.
Right.
So there is a slight difference.
Do you have to extend it at all?
No, actually, you shorten it.
Oh.
In factory form, the tripod at the back just is too far back.
Right.
So you have to, that all comes off, and then you buy a shortened bracket.
Gotcha.
Shifter in. Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm doing the opposite with the R154. I have to extend it 4.5.
Yeah,
and it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah. The other big thing too is just the cost. At that point in time when I was looking, the R154s they weren't bad price,
but they were going up again.
But they were going, $1,200, $1,400 US stock. But then, you still have to then turn around and build it.
Right.
Whereas with the CD009,
out of the box,
Nissan still sells them brand new for under $2,500.
Yeah.
Canadian. And wreckers usually sell them anywhere from $800 to $1,200.
Yeah.
So I mean,
how can you go wrong?
How can it exactly, right?
Yeah, I think pricing it out, the CD009 was the best bang for buck, even in comparison with the R154. But I just can't argue with the deal I got mine, right? Like, if
no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
If I got that deal, an R154 would be in
the
car.
car,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
at that price, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess talking about mods, what's your favorite thing you've done to this thing? Like, let's break it down. Like you got really nice seats. You have beautiful wheels. I don't know what's gonna go on with the wing. I don't know what's gonna go on with the front bumper yet. I think it's just factory with an RMM, and then the TRD style.
Eventually, I'm gonna run the factory wing for a bit.
Yeah. So basically, the car's gonna look amazing. It's gonna have the power. What are your favorite mods? You know, visual, I guess, and performance.
Visual has to be the rims. Workmeisters have always been one of my favorite rims.
They're beautiful.
I wanted them when I had my G35.
Yeah.
At that price point, I just couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
And once I bought this car, I was like, "There's no other rim that's going on this car.
It has to be the Meisters.
The Meisters."
Yeah.
So,
were they custom fitted for this, or did you buy them?
yeah, no, I straight from work, Japan.
No way.
Yeah, I had to. I spoke to a couple different people on the phone. Gave them kind of the look that how I wanted them to fit.
Yeah.
And they spec'd them out and said, yeah, no, they can build them. Looking at 3 to 6 months before I can get them.
That's normal, I think, right?
Yeah. And the funny thing is initially talking to them, and once they said, yeah, no, we got the perfect fitment for it, and I asked, so what would those specs be? And they were like, we don't give specs.
Right, just like CCW or something. Yeah.
Minimum 50% down before we'll give you the specs that we're going to make your wheels.
Right.
So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm paying for it in full right now. And then he was like, okay, I'll process the payment and then I'll email you your invoice. Once I got the invoice, then all the specs.
No way.
Yeah, was on. Yeah, they wouldn't even release the fitment specifications until I paid for it.
That's interesting. Like, I always wonder about companies like that, because you could take that information and just send it to me.
Yeah, and then you can get any other rim made in that, right? But I mean, it's one of those things is like, even after I paid for them, I get them, I can still give them out. So it saves you from doing that, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
maybe it's just like an enticing thing, like
maybe
dangling the carrot. I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure either. But there's a few companies that did that.
Yeah.
So yeah, as for visual, like I said, definitely the rims. As for performance, I'd have to say just having a 2JZ car.
Yeah.
Single turbo. I mean, I don't know how it feels yet because I haven't driven it.
Have you driven a TT6 speed car yet, or a
I have
GT?
driven in one. I've never driven one, and it blew my mind.
Did it really?
Blew my mind. Yeah, it was 600 horsepower to the rear wheels.
Who's?
Alex. Before you sold it.
The silver one.
Yeah, the silver one. Before you sold it, he took me for a rip one night.
Oh, that thing was ridiculously fast.
Yeah, blew me away.
And it was still like a stock car for the most part.
Yeah. Just converted to single turbo and
drop-in cams. Some injectors, and it made over 600 wheel, I think.
Yeah.
Unreal. I know. I remember seeing that car.
The other thing that really impressed me too, because I remember when he did take me for a drive, it was fall, so it was a bit cooler.
Right.
And the car spun first, hooked in second, and just squatted, and it was gone. Yeah. I could not believe how that car stayed, because I was expecting him once he hit it.
So it handled it good, but it was just spinning, right?
First, it spun.
Yeah.
Beginning second, and then it hooked,
and then it was fine.
Gone.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, the traction control works really, really good. And he looked over and he was like, traction control doesn't work.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this thing stayed straight. He was like, yeah, the cars just want to go straight.
That's awesome.
So I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's the only Supra I've driven.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't believe you haven't even been in any of mine.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No. I've known you for years and I've seen a lot of your Supras.
Like, we haven't even
we've
never even thought of it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
looking back, I should have been like, hey, Richard, let's go for a drive.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to segue into the next question. I'm curious what your expectations is on power and what you want out of the car. Like, is it going to be track, street, track street, reliability? Like, what's your goal out of this thing?
My goal is a bit of all of the above.
Yep.
It's mainly going to be a street car.
Okay.
I want 600 plus to the rear wheels.
Just pretty modest, I think.
Just on pump.
Yeah.
The car will see the track. I would love to run in the 10s in the quarter mile. That's always been a dream of mine, to build a car.
10-second car.
And then, because, how many people you know that can do that, right? That can achieve something like that.
At this altitude.
Yeah. Not only that, too, in this day and age, a lot of people out there, like 10 seconds,
I know.
We're running 9s and 8s.
I know.
It's like, and that's fine. For me, this has just always been a personal goal. And
same.
And the day, with enough seat time, the day, hopefully, that I do run a 10-second pass, the car will probably never see the track again.
Just get it and enjoy it.
Just get it and enjoy it. I got that slip.
Right.
And then it'll... Yeah. Street car, mainly weekends.
You and I share the same goal. I'm like the same as you.
Yeah.
I want to get the 10-second pass, and then I want to just enjoy the car. Like if I wanted to get in my car and drive coast to coast, which we will and we plan to, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to drive the car to Supras Invade Vegas. We're going to drive the car to TX2K sometime. That's my goal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'd be great to hit the 10s, and then, hey, let's see if we can do better. But I just don't have the bank account to start chasing times in a quarter mile.
Yeah,
and then
you
that's
start
a very expensive hobby
to not enjoy the car, right?
Yeah.
It's for what it is.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I'd rather have a Supra that I drive on the street whenever I want, rather than a trailer
have some
queen.
Fun,
right?
When it's nice out. Unfortunately, we are up here in Alberta, and we got 7 months of winter.
Well,
and sometimes longer, and then gross streets for the first part of the nice.
Yeah.
So we don't get a lot of drive time. These cars see the road usually.
You never know though with global warming. I mean, we might get.
You never know. We may start getting year-round driving time.
Right. You never know. Might be tropical again.
It'll be kind of like home for me. I'm from the Caribbean, so I won't complain if all of a sudden winter disappears.
I thought that's why you moved here, was the winters.
No, hell no. I don't mind the winter, but it can
get sick of it real
away.
fast.
Yeah, it can go away, and I would be.
You wouldn't miss it.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So if you could do this all over again, this car.
Yeah.
I guess money not really being a factor because it already has a lot of money in it. Would you do anything differently? Would you, let's say, get a TT car? Like maybe in the back of your head, you hate the fact that it's NA. Like some people, you already mentioned you don't. But that's just an example. Is there anything that you would change?
Now, the transmission, because of the T56. What
R&D,
exactly.
Right.
That's what I would go with. If I was to do this all over, starting today, I would go with the T56 100%. And I mean, that's still an option for me. I mean, like I said, the CD009 in here is used, 120,000 kilometers. I don't know how it's going to last.
Right, it's not brand new.
The car moved on its own power for the first time in 3 years a couple months ago. Actually, a really good buddy of mine, we just backed it out on the driveway and then drove it back in. There was no noise, there was no issues. But that was just reverse in first gear. Yeah. Until I get on the street, we'll see. But I would probably change the transmission. Yeah. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with everything else I've chosen for modifications, like suspension, standalone.
So everything you did for the car so far is the way you wanted it to be?
Yes. Yeah. We actually had this discussion last night. I have the racepak street dash. Right. And
we'll get a shot of that.
It would be nice to have the TRD cluster, the TRD factory cluster and stuff like that, but
cost-wise,
the price of what
you get with this,
what guys are asking for a factory 6-speed cluster, because the car being an NA5 speed, I needed to change the cluster. Yep, going with the GTE and then going with the 6-speed transmission, and price for used 6-speed cluster, and then on top of that, all the other gauges I would need. It was just way better. Yeah,
and I'm definitely not 100% Supra purist, but I like my Supras.
More of a purist than I am.
Right. Yeah. When I first seen that, I was like, good for you. That's awesome. I would never do that. But then once we started talking about it, I'm like, wait a second. I'm also a financial, professional.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking, wait, like it makes sense to do this.
Yes.
Cost-wise.
Yep.
Because if you buy the legit TRD tack, TRD Speedo, you get the TT tack, you're already sitting at like $1,400-$1,500 Canadian. Then you have to buy all the gauges on top of that.
Yes.
Right? So really, this was $1,500 all in or whatever it was for the street version.
Yeah.
And you're done.
And that's what sold me on it too, because the traditional race pack is mainly designed for track cars.
Yeah.
Once they came out with the street version and I saw that and what it does, I was like, yes, no brainer. Order.
Right.
Because it has your signal lights built in.
Yeah.
High beams,
e-brake,
lights,
like all the, it's
you
crazy.
can set emergency lights, fuel level, all that is built into it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about getting a regular race pack and then wiring in different LEDs for signals and different, you know what I mean?
It's already there, pretty much. Yeah.
All built in, plug and play, had help from my buddy Mike. Most of the car, I had help.
Yeah, I know Mike.
Yeah, Mike's a great guy. He knows his shit.
Yeah, he does.
So wiring it in, like without him, it would have been a struggle.
Right.
Because there is a lot of wiring. You got to tap into the factory cluster harness. You got to tap into your fuel level sensor. You got to tap in, there's just a lot of wiring.
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank Richard for allowing us in his garage, sitting on his casting couch, keeping us warm, talking to us about his mistress. Hopefully in the summer I can do if you'll let me, do a video on the car, put it on the channel, and you guys can see the progress of this. It starts, as you said, runs right now. You don't know how well. There's going to be bugs you have to work out.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that for mine.
Yeah.
But,
no, that's going to be a pain.
It's going to be a pain in the neck. So just overall, thanks Richard for letting us in here, and we enjoyed talking about your car and seeing the progress on it.
Yeah, no worries.
And thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, obviously give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe. All right, peace.